Thank you for clicking on this video. I am DM Zone and this is a Gamer's Oasis. In this video, I'm going to introduce to many of you a man by the name of Lewis Fowler, who was a hidden source of much of the inspiration for the community that was being built in the early 70s before the release of Dungeons & Dragons. If you stick around to the end, I will show you a darker twist in Mr. Fowler's life and you can decide whether it's fact or fiction. Mr. Fowler was born on February 16th in 1950. He changed his names a few times over the years, but at the end of his life he was best known as Bluebell. Sadly, in 2014, Mr. Bluebell died. So because of his death and because he stopped playing these type of games that he once inspired after he got married, much of his story is left untold. However, Mr. Bluebell provided leadership for two early minicons where he chaired Minicon 5, which was in 1971, and he co-chaired a second one, Minicon 7, which was in 1973. He also had direct roots into role-playing games as we know today. He focused more on one aspect of the art, which is the good dungeon crawl. Back then, this was a big step in a direction that was not well known yet. The simple focus captured those who viewed the game because the referee, or dungeon master as we know it today, could put forth this was the place that was well defined, where walls blocked you off, where doors allowed you or did not allow you to enter areas that may not have had content built for him yet. Mr. Bluebell first got introduced to the idea while attending the University of Minnesota History Club meetings. Wow, say that 5 times fast. There, he joined some of the Blackmore Dungeon Expedition, or games, which were probably run by Dave Arneson, who created Blackmore. More on Arneson, though, a little later. Click the link below. If you don't know who he is, he's a good person to know. He's actually a well-known founder of the original Dungeons & Dragons. After playing in some of Mr. Arneson's Blackmore games, Fowler felt an irresistible urge to adapt and reinvent it for his own use. He called this game Castle Keep, and it was basically some sort of simulation of intrepid heroes wandering around a dungeon, seeking and finding danger, trying to avoid death at the hand of trolls, at the edge of a orc's weapon, or worse, eaten by something yet unknown. One of the 3 players who played in the early game was Craig von Grastek, who was only 14 at the time. Mr. Grastek loved the game so much that he made his own version of the game from his memory after playing Castle Keep with Mr. Bluebell for 6 months. But I'll go into that more in greater detail in a different video. Check the links below for when it comes out. However, it is believed, while Mr. Bluebell claimed that he had made the game called Castle Keep and it was his own work, it was basically an early version of the original Dungeons & Dragons. Because of his position in the local gaming community, it took many years for this to come out. Also, very few had actually played original Dungeons & Dragons, and even fewer had played in the Blackmore Expedition games. So it was assumed that the idea came from him when actually he gained the idea during his years or time played in the Blackmore Expedition. That being said, many consider Mr. Bluebell to be somewhat innocent of his non-licensed use of original D&D, since he was not privy to it being built, did not know that the Blackmore Expeditions was actually a development game for what would become original D&D. Something to remember during that time period, it was especially common for some people to share content, because many of them thought they would never even attempt to make money from it. Beyond what I've talked about so far, I also found out that Mr. Bluebell was appreciated for his music and songwriting. Though this part of his life really doesn't relate to this video, so I won't go into it here. What is important to this topic is that his early work inspired so many. Even if it was a misunderstanding, most who knew him would say that Mr. Bluebell inspired those around him, inspiring things that actually made it into print years later. The module Skull Mountain, which was wrote by Jeff Sparks, set in the Labyrinth Lord 2 setting, which was set in the D&D basic, but it's going to be called the B/X clone, and probably many other video games that came out in the mid-80s and 90s that basically use his formula to progress the game. There are probably others as well that are still unnamed. If you know any of these other games that he inspired, please link them below in the comments. Thanks for sticking around for so long. Here's a darker twist I hinted at the beginning of the video. Here's what I found. Mr. Bluebell was one of the originating members of a fanish religion called Spiderism. There is not a lot on them either, but they believe this, that your soul was eaten by the Great Spider unless you paid the appropriate bribe to the priest of the Great Spider. Anyways, that's up for you whether you believe that or not. I'll go ahead and throw some pictures up right here so you can go ahead and see some of their material. Thanks for watching my show, guys. If you want to see more videos like this, go ahead and click that subscribe button and hit the bell. Thank you and have a great day.